Have you ever seen a judge call out a cop for abusing his power? When I was around 15, I had a pretty harmless hobby, ripping around my local school parking lot with nitro RC cars. My house backed onto the school property, and on weekends, when the gates were closed to cars but open to people, I'd head over with my gear. It became a routine. No one ever cared. In fact, even the RCMP officers who patrolled the area would occasionally stop by. Some of them were cool. They'd try out my RC cars and even fly their department drones to show me how fast they could go. It was one of those innocent things that made my weekends. This went on for a couple of years. No problems, no warnings, just good fun. Then came June 2016. I was doing the same thing I'd always done, testing my RC car, minding my own business, when I suddenly heard sirens. A police cruiser pulled up and out stepped this one officer I'd never seen before. And unlike the others, this guy wasn't friendly. He stormed over, immediately started yelling at me, saying I was on federal property and had no right to be there. No warning, no questions, just accusations. He demanded to see what was in my bag, and without asking for permission, opened it up himself. He found a small bottle of rubbing alcohol, something I used to clean my hands after working on my RC car, and acted like he'd discovered some kind of bomb-making kit. He issued me a $187 ticket for unlawfully operating a remote-controlled vehicle under some obscure code that, when I later researched it, was meant for people flying gas-powered planes on private property without permission. Nothing about public school grounds, and definitely nothing about RC cars. I knew it was BS, so I decided I'm fighting this. Over the next few weeks, I did my homework. I looked up the exact violation code, checked similar cases, and even managed to request the dashcam footage from the officer's cruiser. The video told a very different story from whatever he was trying to paint. Fast forward a few months, I show up at court. The cop was already there and smug as hell. Before we even walked into the courtroom, he offered me a deal, plead guilty, and he'd reduce the fine by half. I declined. That's when I'm pretty sure he muttered under his breath, "Fing bake, nice." Once we were in front of the judge, he strutted through his version of events like he was starring in a courtroom drama, claimed I was belligerent, that I almost ran away, and acted suspicious. I kept quiet. Then it was my turn. I pulled out the dashcam footage. The room went dead silent. It showed exactly what had happened. Me standing there, calm, cooperative, saying almost nothing while he puffed up his chest and tried to intimidate me. At one point, he even stepped toward me aggressively, pointing his finger in my face. The judge paused, then looked directly at him. What followed was the most satisfying verbal beatdown I've ever witnessed. She told him this was a clear abuse of authority, that issuing a citation under the wrong statute was a waste of public resources. She even recommended that he take some time to review what public property actually meant and learn the difference between real threats and teenagers with remote control toys. She tossed the ticket out immediately. As I walked out of court, feeling pretty good about standing my ground, I passed by the officer in the parking lot. I didn't say a word, but he did. Under his breath, just loud enough for me to hear, he said, "Effing brown fire, get wrecked." I stood there stunned. That was the first time I'd been hit with that kind of open racism by someone in uniform. I didn't confront him. I just went home and filed a formal complaint. Days passed, then weeks. I followed up after about 2 weeks, asking about the complaint. Their response? "Yes, sir, he's no longer working at this detachment. We're happy to assist you with any remaining concerns." "No, that's all right," I said, and that was the end of it. I don't know if he was fired, transferred, or buried under enough complaints to make him quit, but whatever the outcome, he never harassed another RC car hobbyist in that lot again.